Answered in kind. 27. Be wary of following the crowd. Dedicated to Mr. James. There is an ancient prudence echoed across every wisdom tradition. Beware the crowd. Not because people are inherently misguided, but because crowds amplify inertia. They reward conformity, anesthetize discernment, and often mistake motion for direction. A multitude moving together can still be moving nowhere, or worse, descending gently into the dark while congratulating itself for unity. Many say, follow Christ, not the crowd, and yet a subtle inversion has occurred so quietly that few notice it. What is often followed is not the living teaching, but the social performance of following. The teacher is revered, while the teaching is left unapplied. The words are memorized. The transformation is deferred. Thus, repetition compulsion sets in. The same mistakes rehearsed, the same outcomes endured, the same injuries blamed on others, again and again and again. Responsibility is outsourced. Reflection is avoided. And misery, unsurprisingly, persists. This is not a failure of belief. It is a failure of embodiment. To pause, to truly pause and look inward, is a radical act in a culture addicted to projection. It requires asking questions that do not flatter the ego. How did this come about? Where did I participate? Did I overstep a boundary? Did I confuse righteousness with reactivity? Such questions are rarely asked by those most convinced they are right. Fervent certainty is often a symptom, not a virtue. When one is utterly convinced of their correctness, curiosity collapses, and with it, the possibility of course correction. The aim was never to be right. It was to do what is right. These are not synonymous. Observe, if you will, the affective tone of those who have no interest in doing the right thing, only in being seen as right. They are rarely at ease. Their inner climate is brittle, their humor caustic, their joy conditional. Some go further and deny the reality of love itself, having confused vulnerability with weakness and openness with danger. Yet, it is not difficult to discern the difference between one who is open to hearing your truth and one who only wishes to sweep it beneath the rug. One leans in, the other recoils. The crowd, unfortunately, rewards recoil. Consider the casual cruelty of certain proclamations made publicly, uttered without reflection, empathy, or consequence awareness. Such statements are often defended as just truth or just honesty, and the ensuing upset of others is taken as confirmation rather than feedback. If they're offended, I must be doing something right. A charmingly dangerous notion, it completes only half the work. Speech without revision, reflection without humility, is tunnel vision. And tunnel vision, as the name implies, is perilous. It narrows perception until fear is handed the reins of one's dominion. The field of awareness contracts to a pinprick, and the very danger one sought to avoid is invited in through the back door. Everything sent outward returns. This is not mysticism. It is systems theory applied to the psyche. Where attention goes, energy follows. Where focus rests, reality answers. Ask, and you will receive. Ask, and be surrounded by your answer. The question, then, is not whether you are answered, but how single is your eye? How coherent is your vision? What are you actually focused on? Some cultural aphorisms reveal more than they intend. Claims about who ages well or poorly, for instance, masquerade as humor while betraying a profound disregard for lived experience. Were such claims universally true, the world would be overflowing with beatific exemplars. It is not. Vitality is not preserved by contempt. Life force is not conserved through derision. On the contrary, many bleed their vitality away through patterns that only partially serve them, or not at all. Hate, condemnation, chronic criticism, envy, jealousy, deceit, gossip, and self-pity are not merely moral failings. They are metabolic drains. They siphon life force, accelerate psychic entropy, and erode the organism from within. People wonder why they feel depleted, why joy feels distant, why aging feels unkind, without noticing where their attention has been parked for decades. Insecurity, too, has a signature scent, as does desperation. Both arise from the same soil, the perpetual outsourcing of self-definition. I do not know who I am. Would you tell me? This posture repels the very affirmation it seeks, because no one wishes to become another's mirror indefinitely. In this state, even sincere reassurance falls flat. It cannot be received because the system is locked into repetition compulsion, repeating the very patterns that generate the pain. Desperation is particularly treacherous. It repels the healthy and attracts the predatory. Those who feed on insecurity recognize its odor immediately. They know the desperate will wait, will tolerate mistreatment, will accept being dragged behind someone else's unresolved shame simply to avoid abandonment. This is how misery recruits company, not through force, but through gravity. The remedy is neither dramatic nor instantaneous. It is granular, step by step. The greatest obstacle to a better life is rarely a single catastrophe. It is the accumulation of small, unattended choices. The mind protests, it's too much. But you only have 2 feet. You can only take one step at a time. Focus on the next step, not on the imagined totality of the journey. Over time, those steps will carry you further than you ever expected, often before you realize you've begun. One of the most effective practices is deceptively simple. Take notes. Track your inner weather. Write down how you feel, why you think you feel that way, how you want to feel, and what small actions might move you in that direction. Without such recognition, memory distorts and patterns persist. This is a study guide in reverse, a map of where you've been and a sketch of where you're willing to go. Be especially discerning about who you keep close. Avoid those who look at you sideways, who mock others, who bond through derision rather than depth. Such groups maintain cohesion by keeping one another stagnant, fixated on external flaws rather than engaged in inner inquiry. Growth does not occur in rooms where curiosity is unwelcome. And so, return to the opening counsel. Be wary of following the crowd. There are moments when collective movement is necessary and noble, but more often than not, crowds drift. They mistake volume for validity and consensus for truth. Discernment is not misanthropy. It is stewardship of attention. Remember this, and rest easy in it. Where you focus, you will be answered, always, inevitably, and precisely, in kind.